talk about life and being lesbian, especially being lesbian in the Bay.
Mm-hmm.
We can continue. We can talk about that for a long time, but we really don't have the time. But I do want to talk. I may bring that back around towards the end because just about dating in general, and like regardless if you're homosexual, heterosexual, pansexual, it's hard out here.
It is.
It's hard. So we're gonna talk about that later. But I really want to talk about your love for travel.
Okay.
And first question I'm gonna ask you about your travel. Ready? Actually, I want to tell you something, and this is kind of probably you may be able to relate to this. I was having a conversation. I think it may have been with Asia at her house. We were talking about opportunity, or it was somebody else. I don't know where we were, but one thing I had a conversation with my mom a few years ago, and so I didn't grow up silver spoon in my mouth and all that. Grow up single mom and in a small area, and I grew up with, I've had cousins and friends who had children at teenage years and never left the small town.
Yeah.
Still there, still having babies. You know what I mean? And my mom asked me about me and my sister, what was different about our life that pushed us to get out of that? Because both me and my sister got out of that that life. And the one thing that I told her was travel. Was exposure.
Yeah.
And we weren't international travelers. We mostly traveled around Texas, and Texas is big enough, to travel around. But that's the one thing that opened our minds, because now we can see there's something different that's out there. So when did your love for travel start?
I don't know if I would actually say it started as a love for travel, more so a love for food. And just, because food is something that brings people together. So I think one thing that is different for foreign-borns is that one of the things that we get, just like how like y'all get driver's license and stuff like that, we get passports. So there's already like, boom.
Whole light just went off in my head.
Right, so we get passports, you get it renewed, you get it from a very young age. And you're just like, okay, all these other things exist. Americans think that they are the epicenter, so they don't need to go elsewhere, while people who are foreign are just like, oh, they know there's a world around them, so they just want to go out and explore.
Right. And that's a benefit, though. That helps. That's exposure, and you know what else is out there.
Yeah.
So what's your favorite place to travel? Like, your favorite place that you've gone to already?
Oh my gosh, Bali. Even though like being born in Jamaica, like Bali is the first place I ever went to, and I'm just like, whoa, this is.
You got married in Bali.
You did? It is amazing. I was in Uluwatu, and it's amazing. It's just like the people, the food. It's just like, it's just amazing.
So now I gotta go.
Just don't fly there directly. I'm all about I'll wait just in case you have how I do traveling is like I like a twofer, like 2 for 1. So flying to Bali, like trying to go there, first of all, it's probably not going to be a direct flight. So what's interesting is just like learning more about the dynamics of travel and how like in certain places it's cheaper to travel to the place you want to go after you're there. So when I wanted to go, and knowing how to like plan out traveling, because I think a misconception is traveling is so expensive.
Right.
So I wanted to go to Spain for my birthday. So just traveling around doing different travel hacks, and found a round trip to Spain, $300. Then I'm like, okay, I look on a map. What all is Spain close to? I've always wanted to go to Italy. Let me look up these different prices or whatnot. Got a round trip to Italy got a round trip from Rome, from Barcelona, $40. So my total travel expense for my birthday going to Rome and Barcelona was only $340.
Wow.
So when I went to China, my trip from San Jose to China, I only paid $32 for it because I had credit, but it was, without the credit, it was maybe like 400 for something. And then when I went there, that's when I went to Bali, and then I went to Malaysia because it was cheaper. Because they kind of have, they have like discount airlines and stuff, like, you know, like a Southwest of that. I mean, it's not called Southwest, but they have different things. And what I love about some of their airlines over there, honey, even if you on like a 90-minute flight, they will give you a meal, honey.
And not come around with a tray full of crackers and pretzels.
No, they had like snapper.
Fritos.
They had snapper, red snapper.
Really?
Yeah, because I know she knows what snapper sounds like. So yeah.
So besides finding a destination that's in close range to your initial trip, what other travel hacks do you have?
So one thing anytime I always start traveling, the first thing that I do is I go on Google Flights. Because what Google Flights will help you do is look at trends. Whereas, like, okay, this time is really bad, but this time will be cheaper and stuff like that. And then you can just, like, do some tweaking. So one thing that's always good is for, like, different airlines, just sign up for their free programs. Because they will send you deals. They'll send you deals that they won't necessarily make public. Also, going into one thing that I did, so my trip to Japan, it was a last minute ticket. The ticket was supposed to be like $2,200, right? So what I did was I went to Expedia.com and I said, okay, I only need a hotel for one night. Pick the worst hotel, like a roach infested, just. And then when you look at the flights, the flight that I wanted was on there. Because, like, if you pick the worst hotel, they usually have good flights associated with them. And so the flight ended up being $700. But here's the gotcha. You don't have to stay at the hotel. It won't cancel the rest of your trip.
Okay.
So you don't, that's why you just put it for one day. And then you just, like, go about your business because it won't cancel the trip. Because there's, like, 2 separate reservations.
Wow.
So yeah, so there's
that.
There's Airfare Watchdog, there is Adioso, and there's Flight Scanner, and then also, like, let's say
I use Flight Scanner.
Yeah, so it's just like, you know how, like, some people, like, they're really into gambling or they're really into shoes, so they look at trends and stuff. Like, I'm just really into traveling. So another hack is, like, if you're looking at different travel and, you know, like, okay, for instance, this one place always is going to stop in Denver. Your destination is, like, the flight may be headed towards, like, Atlanta, but it's a dirt cheap flight and it's going to stop in Denver. And you know you want to go to Denver, you're not trying to go to Atlanta. Taking a one-way flight that has a connection, if it's like dirt cheap, and just getting off the plane when it stops at that city.
Right.
Like, you can just do stuff like that. So it's just, like, really knowing how to, like, work with the system and stuff like that.
That's pretty good. You should be a travel agent.
No.
Okay.
Absolutely not.
We've asked you that before. Actually, you said before, I ain't no travel agent. Like,
I'm not a travel agent. If we tight like that, I will go through, because it's a process. So, like, for instance, my best friend Gerald, I plan all of our trips because he's just like, he doesn't do anything like with logistics and stuff like that. So I will plan all of those things out, and yeah.
What's your least favorite place you've gone to?
Internationally?
Anywhere.
Okay. So 2 places. I'll do one domestic, one international. So let me just preface this. My mother didn't grow up in the civil rights era, so my connection to that is literally just like movies, right? So I went to, one of my really awesome friends is a national slam poet. And so she had to go to Arkansas for a trip.
Oh, God.
And so we just did a road trip. And so it's literally one of those movies, like, it's just houses and they're like miles apart and it's like churches on every corner. Okay, whatever. So we're getting below a quarter tank and we're trying to find a gas station, and we finally find one. And we go into this place. There's all these like old like white people, and it literally felt like no one said anything to us, but I literally felt like the N-word.
Mm-hmm.
The ER.
Mm-hmm.
Not
the hard ER. Like,
and I'm like, whoa. And it was like the most uncomfortable feeling in the world. So there was that.
That happened to me in Memphis.
Really?
Yeah. It was weird. But anyway. And I'm from Texas. Yeah.
So, internationally, I do not like China. I do not like China. Let me take that back. Because I have not visited all of China. I did not like my stay in Beijing.
Mm-hmm.
One, when I went to go see the Great Wall, I don't like feeling though like I'm marginalized, I'm token, all this other stuff. So a lot of people from the outside areas have never seen a black person.
Mm-hmm.
So they want to take pictures with you. If you don't want to take pictures, they want to take pictures of you. And it just felt like, it kind of like felt like, you know, in certain parts of Europe, they would like take people from various parts of Africa and they'd put them on like wooden blocks and for like spectacle. Most famously, Hottentot Venus, Sarah Bartman,
Mm-hmm.
they would have her and like people would pay to look at her or whatnot. And it made me like that energy, like, yeah, it made me feel really uncomfortable.
Mm-hmm.
And just like, they were just like rude. My experience, they were like rude. The pollution in the air, and it was like dirty, and then it was just like everyone is smoking everywhere, and it really wasn't. And then the menu, let me say this.
Oh God, yes.
When I went to Japan, they had some interesting things on their menus or whatnot. But like some of the restaurants in China, it was just like, it was more, there were more things that I weren't accustomed to.
Mm-hmm.
And it was just like, I don't know what the hell a sheep's whip is, but I'm not about to eat it. And it was just like, yeah. So for the most part, when I was in China, I had rice and potatoes.
I can relate. That happened to me when I was in Haiti. I just had rice and peas the whole time. Like a week, I just ate rice and peas. Yeah.
Just the whole time.
Yeah.
So yeah.
What's your dream destination?
Oh my gosh! So funny story. I'm a huge Spike Lee fan, and growing up, no, it's gonna come together.
Okay, it's gonna come full circle.
It's gonna come together. So one of my favorite movies as a kid, like one of the first autobiographies that I ever read, was Malcolm X. One of my favorite movies from Spike Lee was Malcolm X. So, you know, like he rides camelback through the pyramids of Giza, and then at the end they have like this South Africa montage with Nelson Mandela. So I said, I am going to go here, and I'm going to go here. And in undergrad, like, I made it happen. I went to Cairo, and I, you know, rode through.
You felt like Malcolm.
I felt like Malcolm, and then I worked on a business initiative in South Africa, in Johannesburg. So those two things were like my dream destinations. Like, I'm going to figure out a way to get here. And I got there by the time I was 21.
How important is it to you that Black people of the African diaspora, visit Africa? Because you've gone, how were you affected? Because for me, and it's not Africa. When I went to Memphis, I went to the Lorraine Hotel where Martin was murdered, and there's a spirit there, just like an energy there. You know, you have a building, and that's just on a smaller scale. But you've gone to, where you said Johannesburg?
Johannesburg and Cairo.
In Cairo. So, was there any type of connection or any type of like, not like I'm at home, but like these are my people, you know what I mean?
Okay, so that's loaded. So I'm gonna break it into two parts.
Okay.
What traveling has taught me in general, well, not taught me, it's restored my faith in humanity. Because you just see like the kindness of people. So that's one thing. You realize we put too much emphasis on language being an actual barrier, because it really isn't. I think as far as Africa, I think it's, as we spoke like earlier about representation. So I would say that for people not from a different racial background or whatever, but just to know that Africa isn't jungles and stuff like that, I think that people should go. But I don't think that, because for one, I think that when some people travel certain places, they don't go with like, okay, well, what is this culture like? How am I going to be respectful of this culture? What am I going to do to respect? And so, like, one thing, and maybe you could offer some insight into this. For me personally, one thing that I would do here that I wouldn't do in any part of Africa, unless like someone actually told me, is wear some of the kids' cloth and stuff like that. So I think that people would go, some people of color would go to, first of all, I hate the fact that as people of color, a lot of times we refer to something that's like 50, 60 countries as like one country. And so I would hate for them to go with the mindset just because we share the same skin color that you just gonna be like, oh,
you gonna be in there.
And it's just like, no, it's like a different experience, because you can go to South America and see like black people. You can go, so are you going there because you're gonna see like black people? Like, what is the motivation in going? Are you going to go and just like, oh, I feel at home, this is that and the third? And it's just like, when I go to places, I don't like, it's not like I'm seeking something. I want to be present in something that is not my usual. So I think that if I went somewhere seeking something, I would miss the whole experience.
Or set yourself up for disappointment.
Set myself up for disappointment. Like for instance, when I go places, I'll just be like, okay, well, what are points of interest or whatever places I may want to go? But that my trip is not like planned around all of that, because I think, sometimes you say we take a vacation and then it turns into like a recreational work trip. And so I went to Bali. I didn't have any expectations. And I did nothing. I did nothing except watch YouTube videos on CNN by the pool. I still have my Bali tan. This is still
You recently went to Bali.
In April.
I didn't know that.
Yeah, I still have my Bali tan, honey. But I was just able to be in the moment. And I think that a lot of time, people are like, oh, look at me, what I'm doing. And I'm just videotaping. That we don't have the time to just be in a moment. So yeah, I wouldn't want someone just to go somewhere just because, oh, I'm black or I'm this or whatever. I think that just having, like, if you love Italian food, go to Italy. You know what I mean? If you're just like, ooh, like, I wonder what this is like, oh, Carnival. Like, so for my birthday, I want to go to Carnival in Brazil. I'm like, ooh, like, I've wanted to experience that. Or, oh, I really love Mexican food, but let me go to Cabo. Let me just, just start off by things that you just like really, 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 really like. And just like move from there. Like, don't try to build connections just based off primarily just aesthetics. Like, if you just like something, boo, just go.
Just go. Yeah.
Cause I plan my shit around food.
Obviously. How has it changed you? Because I think I talked to you right when you came back from Barcelona. And you were saying that, I think you mentioned that you were like refreshed and just a different outlook. How is your travel internationally or domestic? How has it changed you?
Traveling domestically hasn't changed me. It's just like you go and you do things or whatever. But I think it's a couple of things. not just readily having access to like internet and all of these other things, and just really having to rely on engagement with people, just like your natural knack for directions, having to be present, having to look at the world around you, and just being disconnected from technology but connected to people. And you just realize that I think a lot of times we're bombarded with like a whole bunch of imaging, like people are bad, people don't care, everyone is just like blah, 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 and all this other stuff. And
we never talk to anyone. We don't talk to people.
Right. So when you're in a place where it's just like, I don't speak your language, you don't speak mine, I'm trying to ask you something, you know what I mean? And when I'm in countries, people are so kind. They are so patient. And they will sit and they will
China. What's up, Beijing?
Well, honey, because them people did not have a watch or the time to catch. But it's just like, people are just like, you know, can be so kind and so. But I did have good experiences with people in China. They just weren't Chinese. They were transplanted.
See?
So, but you get to meet people and you get to share stories and, you know, just like how in certain cultures, like people are just so proud. You know what I mean? Like, if you go to like certain parts, because certain parts of Bali are, you know, in poverty, but just like, oh, I'm in this shack, but I love this shack. Like when I went to Soweto in South Africa, so this space would probably be maybe like 2 houses, just the living area or whatever, and how people were like, do you want to stay? Are you okay?
Yes.
And stuff like that. And you just like see like how, you know, you kind of recognize with yourself, like, am I materialistic? Am I this?
What am I putting my values in?
What am I putting my values in? And stuff like that. So it really changes how you see yourself. It changes how you see the world. And I think it changes how you engage with people. Because I went to all these countries and I didn't necessarily know the language, it makes me more patient. Because I go into places and I can't just go on my phone. Like it allows me to be in the moment and be able to disconnect, because I know like this is not like, okay, well, this is not like Lake Merritt, so I can just go there every Saturday. Like, no, I don't know the next time I'm gonna be here. I don't know the next time I'm gonna experience this. And then also I think what's amazing is like being able to share traveling with people. So my mom, like I said, she's always been supportive. On a financial level, and then as our relationship grew, I'm like, my mom has always financed all my shenanigans. Like if I want to go here, there, everywhere, anything, you know, my mom has always done that. And it's just like, okay, here's where our relationship is now. Like we're friends, we enjoy each other. When I just started my new job, when I got it and I got the call and I called her, I was like, Mom, I got a new job. She's like, yes, bitch, fuck it up, fuck it up. And so, like, that is like my homegirl now. So I'm just like, the one place my mom always wanted to go was Paris. She always wanted to go to Paris and all this other stuff. So she thought I was just gonna come home for her birthday. But, like, I actually you know, I had planned to take her to Paris and London for her birthday. And just like a wonderful experience like that was like going on, you know, a first long haul flight with someone. Because my mom didn't tell me till after, like, she was like, I was scared shitless to be on a plane for that long. And then my mom, she was just like, she said to me, I feel comfortable with you being in California. And I'm like, why? And she was just like, I was just so impressed with how you handle yourself, how you navigate, how you do all of these things. And she was just like, I've always looked at you as my little girl, but you were leading me. And she was like, you know, I look at you as like a woman now. And I was just like, oh. It was like, okay. But like just seeing her experiencing stuff together. Because once again, we can't be on our phones. We have to talk to each other.
We have to
We have to engage and whatnot. And so is it really is something with the right person can bring you together.
Right.
And if with the wrong person, you just like, no, we can't.
It would really determine a relationship.
It
can determine a relationship. But you've gone on solo locations internationally, haven't you?
Yeah, I for the most part always do it by myself.
You go by yourself. So give the listeners and the viewers some tips on solo location. Something that you picked up and you've learned, especially internationally, because I traveled solo when I was in Texas to San Francisco. That ain't really traveling. I mean, that ain't really that dangerous, but it's kind of just wanted to get my feet wet to see if I could actually do it alone, because it requires a lot of time with yourself.
Yeah.
So give the listeners, the watchers, the viewers, some things that you picked up traveling solo.
So it's twofold. So one, the rapture, baby.
Yes. It is so loud. That's what happened when you filming here at the apartment, at the house, and I'm just happy. We're gonna finish so this dog don't start barking.
I think being mindful of who you are, in many ways of all your identities. So I was actually, instead of Bali, I was actually supposed to go to Kenya. But they have anti-LGBT laws, like legit. Like if they suspect, they can hold you and all of this other stuff. And I'm just like, now I'm not. It's kind of going back to the thing. Like I want to go into spaces where I'm celebrated, not tolerated.
Right.
So even though like I'm not, it was a service trip. I'm like, why am I supporting something that's anti me? So just being mindful, do they have certain laws? And especially as female, you know, like, do you have to cover up in certain places? Right. So really taking the time to like ask yourself and investigate questions about the country that you're interested in going into. Because after you look at the laws and some of this stuff, or like the cultural practices, you may be like, I'm not really trying to go there. One tip that I do have, that I think people should think about, like if you know that, okay, well I'm gonna go here. I think a lot of the times when we go out of the country, the thing we spend the most on besides food is activities.
Right.
So what I did, like when I took my mom to Paris, I'm like, I know all these things that I want to do. And also you need to learn, how does your money convert? So I knew that the euro, the dollar wasn't shit to the euro.
Right.
So what I did was every paycheck, I paid for an excursion. So by the time we went to Paris, everything was paid for. The only thing that we paid for is like taking the subway and food.
Right.
And if we wanted
souvenirs and shopping. Yeah.
I think, you know, just same things that you would do like if you were here. Like if you go to a bar, you're by yourself, don't get wasted. Like if it's like an outside bar, if you get wasted on the property, they're usually really good about security and things of that nature. And you know, like I said, going back to cultural practices, when I went to Cairo, I forgot. So 4 times a day, they'll do a call to prayer. Everything stops. And it's so beautiful, but knowing that in their days, because I think Friday is like our Sunday and Sunday is like our Friday, like a Monday or whatever. So when are things popping, when are things not? So you can just be mindful and respectful of the places that you're in. And I think like those are like really like the basics. Just know the laws of the land. I would say if you're gonna go traveling or whatever, you don't have to be fluent, but just say, you know, just
know some keywords.
Just know some keywords or whatever, because people respect the fact that you tried.
Yeah.
And then, you know, just being able to say hi, bye, and thank you, yes, no, or whatever. Like, that's, you know, because people appreciate you trying or whatnot. Don't go in there, like, demanding people know how to speak English and stuff like that.
Right. Don't take your American egos over there.
Honey, that should not be one of the things you
check
have in your suitcase.
Check it at customs.
Yes.
Check it at customs. So what's your next destination?
Oh.
And can I go?
You are more than welcome. This is the thing though. This is why I never plan big group things. Because when you come up with the idea, it's 10 people.
Girl.
When you like a couple months out, it's like 6. When you about to pay, it's 3. When you get on the plane, it's 2.
By yourself.
So
and it's probably one part. It's 2 people, but neither one of you know each other. Because they were probably invited by somebody else, and that person dropped. Yes.
And in the beginning, it's so many like people with opinions, but like those people don't end up coming.
Which is really a reason why I prefer solo, because you don't have to. You're not having to accommodate everybody.
Yeah.
You can just go do your own thing, like, or not.
Or one thing that I don't like about group travels, and I'll say group travels with Black people, we can't go nowhere without being sugar sharp. And
being what?
Sugar sharp, like like Easter Sunday, we gonna dress to the nines, and it's just gonna be like yes, and you
sugar
just like.
Sharp.
It's just like, sis, we just going to get breakfast. So it's just like, if I'm on vacation, I don't want to put on.
Right.
You know what I mean? Like, for the most part, when I go on vacation, I literally pack the same thing each time. Because I'm just like, I'm not going for a fashion show. I'm going to explore and enjoy and be comfortable. So when you watch The Real Housewives and they're like, oh, we're going... And I'm just like...
reality. And they have their makeup artists and stuff with them.
Right. I'm like, no, she doesn't have time for that. I think for Gerald's birthday, we're going to try to hit Mexico. My mom, so we went to Paris.
She has a travel bug now.
Yeah. So she wants to go to Thailand. And I want to go to Brazil for my birthday. There's this one destination you said about dream destination, so there's this one place that I'm like, I have to go, and it's gonna be so random and you're never gonna guess. I'm gonna give you 3 guesses.
I don't have time. I don't like playing games. Just 2.
At least make one guess. Meet me in the middle. Shoot something up.
It's random, so you say it's random. Russia.
No.
Oh.
It's Iceland.
Same thing.
It's really mad. But they have this place. They have a lot of geothermal spas, but they have this one, and it's called the Blue Lagoon, and it is gorgeous. And you can get massages like in the lagoon, and it's like these floaties or whatever. And then also you can pick, because they have 2 properties, so you can pick, it's the Retreat or it's the Silica. And then like I think the Silica, you get your own lagoon, like you have your own private lagoon. The other one is just like the regular hotel, but it just looks so amazing. So
that's next.
That's the next dream, like, who I really want to go there. And they're actually, and that's another thing about flying. You need to know, like, what the things you can or cannot deal with. Long haul flights, like, can you know what I mean? So they actually have this airline called WOW. And I will probably say it's kind of like the transatlantic Spirit, where it's just like a lot of, when I say Spirit, I mean a la carte airline. So let me say that. A la carte airline.
When you say Spirit, I think Soul Plane.
The Megabus of the sky. No, a la carte airplanes where you literally have to pay for any extra. But you could go like round trip from SF to Iceland for like $280.
Really?
So it's not expensive at all. But the hotel that I want to go to is like $400 a night. So we gonna pray on that one.
Yes. I'm gonna lay hands. Bring me the quote. I'm gonna lay hands on it for you. All right. We're gonna wrap this little session up. But Iceland is the dream.
Iceland is the dream.
Mexico and Thailand are coming up. In Brazil.
Yes.
Are upcoming. I'm going to Mexico in a few weeks. But I do want to go to Thailand as well.
I am, and that's why, because my job, if you refer someone and they get hired and they stay for 3 months, it's $5,000.
That's why you keep posting all these, hey, my job is hiring on.
No, here's the gag though. I didn't know until like after the last time I posted.
Look at God.
And I said,
won't he do it?
Wanna do it?
Won't he do it?
I said, if I get like 2-3 people, I'm set.
So I just saw this. This isn't so off this topic, but talking about like just getting your coins up. I just saw this post on social media, and I don't know if it's true or not, but this girl had got like 20 guys to buy her an iPhone 10. She sold them and used the money for a down payment on a house.
I don't know that situation, but I know it's big. I think it was a girl in China who did that. But yeah, got everyone to buy her iPhones, and then
Teach me your ways. First of all, teach me how to get 20 people to spend that much money. Teach me how to get one person to spend that much money on an iPhone as a gift.
But you gotta invest in, yourself. Like, one thing that this parent said, my old teachers did. She was just like, her son loved Nike and all of this other stuff, and he had other thing that he really, really, really liked, and she was just like, okay, well, when I give you a allowance, since you love these companies so much, we're gonna invest.
Yes.
So from a child, she made him buy stock in the things that he liked.
I completely agree with that. 100%.
So you have stock in Target and Home Goods?
Target, and so so I also called my goddaughter's mom and asked her, where do you buy majority of her clothes?
Yeah.
She gave me the name, and I'm like, we're gonna get some stock in that. We're gonna have some stock for her.
Okay.
Yeah, so I completely agree with that. Completely. If you spend all your money in there, make your money count.
Yeah, make it count.
That's another podcast. That was another show. So we're gonna wrap this little session up. We're gonna come right back, and the last part of this episode is probably gonna be a little bit shorter, but I just want to kind of dig a little bit deeper into the soul.
Yeah.
Get some Oprah soul conversations.
Yes, soul soup.
So
we about to make some gumbo.
Gumbo soup for the soul. What was that book called? Chicken Soup for the Soul?
No, but that was the white one. Remember, they had a black one, Black Eyed Peas for the soul.
I was about to say chitlins for the soul.
And you know what?